All right, guys. Hey, it's Sam here. Oh, we're middle of the day on October 12th. And of course, we're all just sitting in amazement at what's happening with Bitcoin, right? So if you're long, and I hope you've got some, wow, what an amazing thing to see. If you've been waiting for an opportunity to get in, well, sometimes the market just won't give it to you, right? So, we had looked at this yesterday, and what I was suggesting was that we were clustering here around the median line, and what we were hoping for was a little pullback here to let us enter, at the outside edge. Doesn't happen. Doesn't happen. So, again, as I think I suggested to you yesterday, the longer you cluster around that median line, you build up the energy so that you're either going to break down to the outside line or you're going to break hard to the upper line, and that's exactly what we've done. Clearly, now, yesterday we drew this little box up here around these fib targets, and you can see that's right where we're sitting now. By no means am I calling a top here, but I am saying that we're hitting some fib targets that are worth noting. So if you're long, here's what I can tell you. Eventually, this thing's going to retrace. Eventually, if nothing else, just some profit taking is going to kick in. This is very tempting for people that are sitting on enormous gains. So fear and greed start to become the battle between your ears. It's greed. Wow, this thing could keep going, and fear. I don't want to give any back. So that battle, you have to wage, with yourself. So what I would tell you is that if you're long, just be logical about where you would place your stop. So we're hitting these targets. I mean, almost to the tick. We're at the negative 100% from this fib pull. If your thought is that this is just just starting, and we do have upside fib targets here at 5,600, and I would suggest that if nothing else, put your stop on the other side of the median line. I'm now I'm long from much lower, but I'm putting my stop now under this swing low here. And that's a pretty good give back, but that's 46. I think I'm at 46.50ish, right around there. That's a pretty good give back when we're sitting here at 5,400. So it's just a question of, how are you reading the market? Do you see any signs of exhaustion up here? And what are you comfortable if you're going to give some back? You have to accept that you're not likely to catch the absolute low and the absolute high of the market. It's just you don't want to aspire to that because you'll continually be disappointed. So it's just a question of what your trading plan dictates. Where are you comfortable taking a stop? If you're going to take some profit, you have to be at peace with that, so that if this thing just keeps rolling, you're not now then kicking yourself for, I should have stayed, I could have stayed. That's the kind of emotional struggle that we all deal with as traders, that you have to make peace with it. So if you are comfortable taking profit here, do it and don't look back. Just wait for your next opportunity to get long. If you're in and you're comfortable allowing some of this to be given back because you anticipate higher prices, then accept it when it comes back, and then don't be kicking yourself because you're saying, well, I should have taken it at that high. It was right in the box. It was right at the channel. I should have taken it there. That's the dialogue that will just drive you crazy, and it leads to frustration. And instead of enjoying a nice, the benefit and the financial reward of a nice trade, you end up beating yourself up for not being perfect. Right? Perfection is unattainable in trading. Do not even try for it. So you got to come to terms with that. So anyway, that's probably enough on that. As we look here, it becomes a question of, well, how reasonable is it for us to be continuing to move higher? So, we got to go to a smaller count. We can certainly see a nice 5-wave structure here that has the potential to be completing here. If we go to the hourly, you get a slightly different picture. So as you'd expect with that move last night, it's hard to call this anything other than a third wave. So even as we looked yesterday, as this was starting to move, we had new highs here in the wave oscillator. And so the implication was that this was likely a third wave. Well, we've gone even higher than that. So what does that imply? Well, it implies that we're now in another third wave, and another, which is always the strongest wave. So if that's the case, we got to go. Let me pull some of this off because we can kind of recreate this. So as this just continues to roll, and again, we evaluate here how much stronger the oscillator is than here, we've got to label that a third wave. So where's a reasonable spot for us to expect a retracement? Well, you can look at this and say, well, we can. I mean, I had to go down to a 5-minute to get a clean 5-wave structure there to give that a 1. Here's our 2. We're still, no clear indication that third is topped here. So we'd want to see, a meaningful retracement to be looking to call the 3 high in. But if I just go and pull from what I'm labeling here as this 2 low and go up to, where it is now, and then again, nothing says that it stops there. But if you were looking to get in, somewhere around this zone that we often look for, which would be the 38 and the 50. So if we got that we're now talking about pullbacks to 5,100, and that's if we get a pullback. That's if we're lucky. So we're in, we're just in just an incredible push here, an incredible bull market where you want to give it enough room so you're not wicked out, and then it's $300, $400, $500 higher the next morning when you get up. But if you're, I guess my point is, if you're not in, it's tempting to want to chase it, but that usually when you're doing that, you're setting yourself up for the correction that you kind of in the back of your mind knew was ultimately going to come. So I propose to you that the safer way, how about I'll use that language, the safer way to approach this, looking to get long, is to wait for the retracement. Wait for it. I know it's frustrating. We were hoping to get it back down here at 4,600, and we had the potential for it yesterday. We had a little 3 waves that had the possible structure there for an A, a B. We were looking for the C, and it just explodes. So now, what's driving it now? Greed. Greed is what's driving it. The fork, the idea that you're going to get free Bitcoin or free in effect free money, and nobody wants to miss it. This is a market that I don't want to say it's out of control, but it's certainly exceeding technical norms here. So, I guess what I'm saying is approach with caution, because it would be very easy to see this thing pull back 600-700 points and still maintain this incredibly bullish count. So, my 2 cents, if you're not in, don't chase it. Don't chase it. If you're not in that, just be careful, because remember, the market, it's constantly working against you, right? So it's constantly playing on your emotions to get you to make the wrong move at the right time. So trying to chase it here because, well, wow, we're at 5,400. Next stop is 6,250. We can pull up a weekly and run some fib numbers, and all those upside targets are there. But eventually, there's going to be a retracement, if for no other reason than people want to take profit. And it'll just take a little bit of weakness here to see, the trailing stops get hit, and the people saying, okay, good, I'm comfortable taking some profit, and they'll close their orders, and those sell orders are what will drive the retracement. So approach with caution. If you're not in, you got to be patient. It will come. The retracement will come. It's inevitable. Now, how deep it is remains to be seen, but it will come. So likely, we're not done with this here. So, if we go back to, here would be, if we get that retracement, we got an upside target here just on the first target for the fibs, which would be 55.23. So if we look at that in context of where we are over here, well, here's the 1618 of this pull, right? So if I blow this up again, for all we know, we could be relabeling this as this could be our 1, this could be our 2, and we're in a 3, come back for the 4. So if you think about, where we might come, even if we just come back to the median line here, that's, 5,100, 5082. So, wait for it, because the odds are that this is not done, that there's one more push because of what we're seeing on the hourly, and as to how we end up labeling this, only time will tell. But we've got to look at this extension here and look for that to complete in a 5th wave. So we may stall here off of these fib targets, and that may be the top of the 3 that we're looking at over on the hourly. So, the opportunity is still there, and the ideal place to catch it would be a retrace to the median line, and look for that to line up with the fibs. That would be ideal. So, as you can see it, as we kind of put the two side by side, we're here, we are right in the box here, potentially a 3rd wave high. We're looking for the 4th wave retrace. Ideally we do it slowly, come back to the median line, and then there's that last push up. Nothing says it's the final push, but it would certainly complete this structure, and then we'll look at, do we need to relabel the entire count based on what we're seeing. So until then, just be careful. Just be careful. This kind of volatility can bite you, hard when it turns around. That's my point. Okay, that's enough on that. Let me move over to Ethereum and Litecoin. So Ethereum, just still, surprisingly, not a lot of action today. Just still stuck between these two fibs, stuck between targets. Very, very little action today. So where's the action? The action, as you'd expect, Litecoin is moving in sympathy with Bitcoin, not to the extreme, but when you're confused, is we've been looking at Litecoin on a 1 hour and a 4 hour, and it's just been very hard to count the thing out. So what I did was just take everything off, which I encourage you to consider doing when you're not sure exactly what's happening. Pull all the Elliott wave off and just start pulling fibs and say, well, where are we likely to go? If we're going to start to rally here, what kind of reasonable targets can I put on this? So all I've done is pull. I'm on a 12-hour chart here, 12-hour on Bittrex. So I'm going from our low before the whole move starts up to our high. We come down. We went a few dollars through the 65 here. That was the extreme, right? When Bitcoin was making the big sell-off, the Chinese fear-driven sell-off. We go through. We get this. I mean, it's structurally. It makes sense. I mean, here was your support over here. The prior resistance became the support, and yeah, that was an extreme. But so that's a pivot that we can work from. So we can look at that and say, okay, well, from that low, where's our upside? Well, that's up here at 115. So that remains a very valid target. Well, how are we going to get there? Well, now we got to start breaking it down. So we go down to a smaller time frame. So I'll go down to the 4 hour. And this is where we've been looking at it, trying to carve out a count here, and it's been hard to find it. So we did have this double top here before we started our little sell-off. So if I pull from our pivot here that we know is meaningful, and I'm going to pull here since we had a double top. This is further out in time, and I go down. Well, we came a little shy of the 50. We hovered between the 38 and the 50, and now we're getting this reaction. So we can look at that and say, okay, first target here is at 63. We know that's an algo target, so there's likely to be some sort of a pause there. Now in the midst of this corrective action, it's too soon to say that we're starting an impulsive structure. Too soon to call that. So how would we quantify it? How can we approach that and say definitively that we've got a new impulse structure? Well, now I'm just pulling fibs from high to low. And so here we get this nice cluster, this little area here where we would expect some sort of a reaction because we've got a fib target and a fib sell. Fib target being the 23 and the fib sell being at the 50. So, I would expect some sort of reaction. Now, if we hit it, stall, and then just keep going, well, now we've got our next target. It's interesting how these line up. We know the negative 618. as you can see it here on this blue line here. The negative 618, that's a target in extremes, and that sits right between the 618 and the 65. So if we stall here, a little retrace, and we keep going, next target would be up here in this little window. So we can, start to look at this and be strategic. I'll use that word about what we can expect. We've got likely areas of resistance that we've seen time and time again where we're likely to see the market react. Now, react doesn't mean it stops going higher, but we're likely to see this be stiff resistance. So if that pauses, then we come back down. There's an opportunity to get long again. If we can get a 38 to a 50, ideally the 50, if we're going to hit that, and then we wait for that retracement, and then there's a potential to go up again. Now, the first time it's resistance, second time up, if we can get through it, well, then we've got our target up here. So there's definitely trading opportunity in Litecoin. It's just not a clear Elliott count, but that doesn't mean we can't trade it. It's, as I've said many times, we're going to be able to come back and quantify this in an Elliott context eventually. Right now, it's very hard to read it, and the biggest problem has been this area here as to how do we read that, because we had the potential for an ABC, A, B, C. Everyone was looking for that to go to new lows. Doesn't happen. So for Litecoin, we've just been stuck between this 50 and this 50. So where does it resolve? Well, if you're bullish like I am long term, in crypto in general, we're looking for opportunities to get long, but we got to be realistic about where we're likely to hit some bumps, and that's the first one. Now we're what was our high today was 60, and we're looking for this to be resistance at 63. It might be there tonight. It could be there today. Hard to say. So those are areas that we want to look for. Now a break beyond that, and then we can start to look at this and say, okay, new impulse structure is underway, and then we can be more aggressive with our entries and the kind of size that we're taking, because we know now how to quantify what we're seeing. Right? This has been very different than trying to trade Bitcoin, which has been so perfectly technical and so easy to spot. Right? Very, very easy to see this wave structure. Not so with Ethereum or Litecoin. So here's you can see it happening right now. So here's what I talk about. Here's a reaction. So that's a range from 54 to what's the low end of it, to 53.20. So you got almost $100 window here where you're seeing this reaction. So is that the top? Could be. But we go back to our hourly. What are we looking for? We're looking for the top of the 3. So hopefully there's some sort of little pullback, gives us another chance for the next leg up. Okay, how am I doing on time? Okay, that's 18. I'm going to wrap there. I've got some other stuff to show you, but I'm going to do that in a separate video. I keep getting reminded that I'm a little long-winded in these, and I like to keep them shorter so you can take them in bite sizes. Okay, that's it for now. I'll be back a little bit later with some more things to show you. Okay, see you later.